You are currently sharing a planet with 8 billion people. Most of them are white noise. They are the blurred faces in the background of your commute, the people you dodge in the grocery aisle, the others who exist only in the periphery of your vision. They are strangers. And then there is that one person. The person whose name is the only one you look for in a notification list. The person whose absence feels like a physical ache in the room that we like to call this soulmates. We think it's a cosmic accident, a once-in-a-lifetime collision of stars. But while we were busy writing poems about it, researchers were busy measuring it. They found that the bridge between "who are you" and "I can't live without you" isn't a bridge at all. It's a microscopic, biological event that happens in less than a second. It is the exact moment your biology decides to stop protecting itself and start expanding. If you've ever wondered why you feel lonely in a room full of people, or why that one specific stranger suddenly feels like home, you're about to see the math behind the magic. Because soulmates aren't born. They are triggered. Let's talk about the specific kind of exhaustion that comes from searching. You go on dates. You do the small talk. You ask about their siblings, their job, their favorite travel destination. You go through the motions of intimacy without actually feeling any of it. You leave the restaurant feeling heavier than when you arrived because you just spent 2 hours performing a version of yourself for a stranger who was performing a version of themselves for you. It feels like a play where everyone has forgotten the script. Or maybe you're in the middle of a long-term relationship and you've noticed a different kind of stranger. The person sitting 3 feet away from you on the sofa. You know their history. You know their favorite food. But you realize you haven't felt a click with them in months. You're coexisting, but you aren't connecting. You feel like you're shouting across a canyon, and the echo is the only thing coming back. This is the stranger gap. It's that terrifying realization that you can know everything about someone without actually knowing them. We've been taught that if we just find someone with the right stats, the right height, the right career, the right hobbies, the soulmate part will just happen. We focus on compatibility as if it's a checklist. But checklists don't create soulmates. Checklists create acquaintances. The reason you feel that void is because you're looking for the one in the data, when the one is actually found in the resonance. You've probably had a moment where you were talking to a total stranger, maybe in a line at the airport or at a boring party. And for 3 minutes, you felt more seen and more alive than you have in 3 years of your actual relationship. That wasn't a fluke. That was your biology trying to tell you something. Most of us are walking around with our social armor on. We are protective, guarded, and efficient. We treat people like obstacles or tools. But the moment that armor cracks, the moment you move from being 2 separate islands to a shared continent, that is the only moment that matters. I'm going to tell you exactly what that crack looks like, why it's the only way to find a soulmate, and the one biological glitch that makes 2 people feel like they've known each other for 1,000 years after only 10 minutes. So, what is the glitch? To understand it, we have to look past the self-help shelves and into the work of researchers like Dr. Barbara Fredrickson and Dr. Arthur Aaron. They didn't want to know about love as a concept. They wanted to know about love as a state of being. They discovered something that fundamentally changes how we view relationships. They found that soulmate status isn't a permanent title you achieve. It's a micro-moment of positivity resonance. When 2 strangers interact, their brains are usually desynchronized. Your neurons are firing in one pattern, and theirs are firing in another. You are literally on different wavelengths. You are 2 separate operating systems that don't have a compatible port. But then, something happens. A specific kind of spark occurs. In that moment, a massive physiological shift takes place. If you were hooked up to a monitor, you would see it instantly. Your heart rates begin to mirror each other. Your oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone, spike in unison. But most importantly, your brain waves begin to couple. Researchers call this neural coupling. It is the exact moment when the boundary between me and you begins to dissolve. This is the exact moment a stranger becomes a soulmate. It is the biological click where your brain stops processing the other person as an external object and starts processing them as a part of yourself. The stakes are higher than you think. If you don't experience this coupling, you stay strangers, no matter how many years you live together. You can be married for 50 years and never once be soulmates. You can have the same last name, the same kids, and the same bank account, But if you never hit that resonance, you are just two people managing a household together. The tragedy is that most people are accidentally blocking this resonance every single day. We are doing things, normal, everyday things, that make it physically impossible for our brains to couple with our partners. I'm going to show you the self-expansion technique that super couples use to trigger this resonance on command. I'll show you why a specific kind of vulnerability loop is the only way to bypass the stranger filter in the human brain. And I'll reveal the one question that can turn a fine relationship back into a soulmate connection in under 5 minutes. The transformation from stranger to soulmate relies on a concept called the self-expansion model. According to Dr. Arthur Aaron, one of the primary motivations of being human is the desire to expand ourselves, to grow our knowledge, our influence, and our experience. When we fall in love, what's actually happening is that we are including the other person in ourself. Their resources become our resources. Their perspectives become our perspectives. Their identity becomes ours. But this expansion can't happen if you're playing it safe. The exact moment occurs during what sociologists call a vulnerability loop. Here is how it works in real life. Person A sends out a signal of vulnerability. It doesn't have to be a dark secret. It can be as simple as admitting they're nervous about a meeting or sharing a weird thought they had. Person B receives that signal and responds with their own vulnerability. When that loop completes, the stranger barrier drops. Your brain says, this person is safe to expand with. This is the bridge that if you want to create this moment or get it back, you have to use the shared reality theory. Research from scholars like Maya Rossignac-Milan shows that soulmates are built through shared perception. It's the "did you see that?" moment. When you and another person look at the world and realize you are seeing it in the exact same way, whether it's a joke only you two get or a specific way of valuing the world, your brains synchronize. This is why inside jokes are so powerful. They aren't just funny. They are biological proof of neural coupling. They are evidence that you have created a shared reality, that no one else has access to. To trigger this, you need to practice high arousal. Novelty. The brain habituates to the familiar. If you do the same thing every day, your brain stops expanding to include your partner. They become strangers because they become background noise. To stay soulmates, you have to do things that are novel and challenging together. When you do something new, learn a skill, travel somewhere unfamiliar, or even just have a deep, uncomfortable conversation, your brain releases dopamine. Because your partner is there during that dopamine spike, your brain tags your partner as the source of that expansion. You literally reassociate them with the honeymoon phase chemicals. But there is a catch. Most people think knowing someone means knowing their past. But soulmate connection is about perceived partner responsiveness. It's not about how much you know about them. It's about how much they feel you understand their current, evolving self. That a soulmate isn't someone you found 10 years ago. A soulmate is a stranger you committed to rediscovering every morning. You have to treat your partner like a book that is being written in real time, not a book you finished reading years ago. If you stop being curious, you stop expanding. If you stop expanding, the self-expansion model collapses. And when it collapses, you drift back into being strangers. This is the work. It's the constant, intentional act of creating vulnerability loops and shared realities. It's looking at the person you think you know perfectly and realizing there is still a hidden world inside them that you haven't seen yet. The exact moment isn't a one-time event. It is a flickering flame that you have to keep feeding. Every time you choose to be vulnerable, every time you share a reality, every time you choose novelty over routine, you are hitting that click one more time. Here is the aha moment that changes everything. That we think soulmates are about finding someone who matches us. But the science shows that soulmates are about becoming someone who is willing to be synchronized. The exact moment two people go from strangers to soulmates isn't when they realize they have the same hobbies. It's the moment they realize they are willing to let the other person change them. It is the moment you stop saying, "This is who I am," and start saying, "Who are we becoming?" That biological click, the neural coupling, the synchronized heartbeats, the shared reality, is just the physical evidence of a spiritual choice. It is the choice to drop the stranger armor and let someone else into your definition of me. If you feel like a stranger to your partner today, Or if you're afraid you'll never find that soulmate connection, remember this. Resonance is a practice. You don't find a shared reality. You build one that the bridge is always open. You just have to be the one to send the first vulnerability signal. You have to be the one to invite the expansion. But as powerful as its self-expansion is, there is one modern trap that is silently killing the shared reality of millions of couples. And it's probably in your pocket right now that if you want to understand the science of deep human connection, subscribe and join us as we explore the neurobiology of attraction and intimacy. Understanding your brain is the first step to mastering your heart. Frame your next conversation as an expansion, not an interview. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes only. For personal relationship concerns, please consult a licensed professional. Expand your world.